Hello all, welcome to Paritranaya. In this class, we shall discuss about another very important history related topic, that is the non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement from 1920 to 1922. In the previous few classes, we have discussed about the Swadeshi movement, we have discussed about the Home Rule movement. Similarly, on those lines, we have the next movement, that is non-cooperation movement. So when we start discussing about any movement, few things that we have to keep in our mind is exams demand. So the exams demand says that what are the various reasons to initiate a movement? How did the movement come to an end? Who are the important personalities associated with an event? And which are the important developments associated with the movement? So with these perspectives, if we move ahead, then we will be able to cover the topic comprehensively. So keeping those demands in mind, so we have prepared this. So first, we shall start with the reasons for starting it. What are the reasons to initiate non-cooperation movement? So one is the Rowlatt Act. Next, Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Next, imposition of martial law in Punjab. So these are the few of the reasons why we initiated non-cooperation movement. So let us look into the other reasons as well. So the other reasons are Montagu-Chelmsford reforms, ill-conceived diarchy. Next, Muslims distress. So let us understand these problems at the superficial level. So one reason was Rowlatt Act. So we need not have complete details about the Rowlatt Act. At the superficial level, we need to understand why we were opposing Rowlatt Act. So this Rowlatt Act, it had provisions which included suspension of civil liberties. So an example of civil liberty can be what? Freedom of expression. So you did not have the freedom to express yourself. For example, it may be public speeches or through newspaper. You did not have the freedom. So these freedoms were curbed, and whenever you made free speeches against the government, so you were arrested. So there was increase in police power. Okay, there was increase in police power, and also suspension of civil liberties, including what? Curbing of freedom of expression. So because of all these things, so we opposed the Rowlatt Act. So this was one of the reasons why we started non-cooperation movement. Another one is Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So all of us, we are aware. So the mass had gathered at Jallianwala Bagh, and General Dyer, without any mercy, so he ordered firing on these unarmed people who were there, who had gathered there. So this was another reason for initiating non-cooperation movement. Next, martial law in Punjab. So martial law in Punjab was imposed, wherein gathering of a certain number of people was not allowed. Means beyond a certain threshold, so gathering or assembly was not allowed. So these are all the various reasons why we started non-cooperation movement. So all these various activities, they indicate that British had belied wartime promises. So we all know that Britain had participated in World War I. So as India was under the control of the Britain, so British India participated in World War I. So before participating, in order to secure the cooperation of Indians, so they had made certain promises. The promises like this, so we'll be increasing, in the increasing fashion, we'll be creating self-government institutions in India. So gradually our ultimate aim is to give freedom to India. So these were few of the promises which the British had made in order to secure the India's participation in the World War I. But once the World War I was over, what all promises it had made, so it belied them. It did not keep, it did not live up to its promises. Okay. So these were the reasons why we initiated non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement. Next, another point is diarchy. So in the polity, we'll be discussing in detail about the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms of 1909. So among the reforms, the one important reform was diarchy system. So what is this diarchy? We'll be discussing later on. But the diarchy system, which was introduced through these reforms, was Indians were unhappy with it. So this was also one of the reasons for initiating non-cooperation movement. Next, Muslims distress. So this was another reason. So all these reasons, they mixed together. So what was Muslims distress? So Caliph of Turkey was regarded as their spiritual head. So Caliph of Turkey as regarded as spiritual head by all the Muslims, including Indian Muslims. So during World War I, few of the powers of Caliph of Turkey was taken was taken by Britishers. So in order to ensure what victory in World War I, or probably for some other reasons, so some of our Caliph of Turkey was deprived of the powers. So what were those powers? So as a Caliph of Turkey, his duty was to protect the holy places. So his duty was to protect the holy places of places belonging to Islam. But now during World War I, so Britishers took that power from Caliph of Turkey. But at the same time, they said that once the World War I is over, we will be returning back those powers to Caliph of Turkey. And because of that, what mutual understanding did take place between the Britishers and Muslims. But Britishers stepped back from wartime promise of generous treatment. So they had promised that they'll be giving back those powers after the World War I. But once the World War I ended, so British did not keep their promise. So they stepped back. So this angered the Indian Muslims. So Caliph would no longer retain control over the holy places. It means holy places, Islamic holy places would no longer be under the control of Caliph. So this angered the Indian Muslims. And as a result, in order to protest against the Britishers, they started Khilafat movement. Okay. So this Khilafat movement, it has a religious tone, whereas non-cooperation movement, it had a broader tone of securing freedom for India. So these two movements, they merged together in the larger form, which we call it as non-cooperation movement. Okay. So this was one of the reasons. Next, apart from that, Hunter Committee. So when General Dyer ordered firing on the unarmed masses gathered at Jallianwala Bagh massacre, so a committee was appointed in order to inquire regarding that massacre. But this committee, which was constituted, it did not yield any proper result. So it indicated that this committee was constituted just for namesake. It was just an eyewash. So this also angered Indians. Next, it was an eyewash on one hand, and on the other hand, House of Lords, they voted in favor of General Dyer's action. So in India, we have Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Similarly, in Britain, we have House of Lords and House of Commons. So here, House of Lords can be compared with Rajya Sabha, or you can even consider Lok Sabha. So in Lok Sabha of Britain, they voted in favor of Dyer's action. So as Dyer was involved in firing, rather than condemning him, so they voted in favor of him. So this also angered Indians. Next, Morning Post, a newspaper in Britain. So it collected 30,000 pounds for General Dyer's action. So to help out General Dyer, it collected 30,000 pounds. So all these various activities, they angered Indian. So now, at a broader perspective, we understand that the various reasons for starting non-cooperation movement are: one is Rowlatt Act, Jallianwala Bagh massacre, imposition of martial law in Punjab. Next, Montagu-Chelmsford reforms of an ill-conceived diarchy. Next, Muslims' distress with respect to Caliph of Turkey. And next, Hunter Committee eyewash, House of Lords voting in favor of Dyer's action. Next, Morning Post collecting 30,000 pounds in favor of General Dyer. So all these actions, all these developments, they created a strife in Indians against the Britishers. Okay, Britishers. As a result of this, we witnessed non-cooperation movement. So in this context, let us look into the various developments that have taken place as part of the non-cooperation movement. So while going through this topic, we come across a treaty or understanding. It is called as Treaty of Sevres. So here at the superficial level, we need to understand that what is this treaty about and between whom it was signed. It was signed between British India and with Turkey. Okay. British government with, sorry, not British India, British government with Turkey. So this much information would be sufficient here. So when we start discussing about world history, so there we will see in detail about the World War I, World War II, etc. So there we shall discuss again, but here at the superficial level, this information would be sufficient. Next, Khilafat Conference. So Khilafat movement and non-cooperation movement, both of them, they were parallel movements. So first movement that started was Khilafat movement, and first a Khilafat conference was called in 1919. Why? In order to oppose the British. Why they wanted to oppose the Britishers? Because Britishers did not keep up their wartime promise of giving back the power to Caliph of Turkey. So that's why they wanted to oppose Britishers. So for that, they had called a Khilafat conference, and to this Khilafat conference, Gandhi ji was a special invitee. Important point to note. So Khilafat conference was held in Delhi in 1919, and Gandhiji was a special invitee to this. So what kind of questions can be framed in prelims? So where did Khilafat conference take place in 1919? It took place in Delhi. So whether Gandhiji was invited? Yes, Gandhiji was invited as a special invitee. Special invitee. Similarly, next, a Khilafat committee meeting took place at Allahabad. When? In 1920. So exactly 9th June and all, these exact dates are not important. So approximately this chain of events are very important. So Khilafat conference, it took place in 1919 in Delhi, and Khilafat committee, it met at Allahabad in 1920. So here in Khilafat committee meeting, Gandhiji made a proposal of non-cooperation. So let us initiate a non-cooperation movement. So this was the proposal made by Gandhiji, and the Khilafat committee accepted Gandhiji's proposal. They accepted Gandhiji's suggestion of non-cooperation, and apart from that, they also asked Gandhiji to lead it. Okay, they asked Gandhiji to lead the non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement. In this fashion, Khilafat movement and non-cooperation movement, both of them, they merged. So as a result, non-cooperation movement was launched on August 1, 1920. August 1, 1920. So on the same day, Bal Gangadhar Tilak passed away. So the people who had come for mourning, people of mourning and launching of movement, so they merged. So there was a very huge mass, and all over India they observed hartals and also took out processions. Okay, took out processions. So very important point. When was non-cooperation movement launched? August 1, 1920. Next, Congress meets at Calcutta. So non-cooperation movement was launched, but officially it was not accepted by Congress committee yet, and officially it was not yet accepted by Indian National Congress also. But to give an official recognition, a special session of Indian National Congress was called in 1920, where at Calcutta. It was a special session and not an annual session. And this special session was presided by Lala Lajpat Rai. So very important point to note. Okay. And in this session, they accepted non-cooperation as its own. So the non-cooperation which had started as a result of Khilafat, now Congress Working Committee accepted non-cooperation as its own. So very important point. In the prelims, they may ask you a question like this: in which of the following sessions, special sessions, was non-cooperation movement accepted as its own by the Congress Working Committee? So we should know that it was a special session of Indian National Congress. Okay, special session of Indian National Congress. Next, in this context, we shall look into few other aspects. Boycott of legislative councils. So when it comes to protest against the Britishers, so there were different opinions and different ideologies. So few of the ideologies were like this: they wanted to participate in the elections, they wanted to contest in the election, become members of legislative assembly and council, and within the council and within the assembly fight against the government. So this was one type of ideology. Another ideology is not joining the government, not contesting in the election, but rather fighting from the outside. So here C.R. Das was a person who was interested to contest the election and fight the government from within the system. Okay, within the system. That is why when a call was made, boycott of legislative councils. So boycott of legislative councils means none of the Indians should participate in the legislative council elections. So there was a call given, but C.R. Das was opposed to this call, because C.R. Das wanted to participate in the election and fight the government from within the system. C.R. Das was opposed to it. But even those opposing it accepted the Congress discipline and withdrew from the election. So, but the Congress majority of them, they were not in favor of contesting the election. So that is why C.R. Das and others, those who wanted to contest the election, they accepted the Congress discipline. So whatever the decision the Congress has taken, we will abide by it and will not contest in the election. Therefore, C.R. Das did not contest in the election and abided by the Congress discipline. So here, from prelims point of view, what kind of questions can be framed? So C.R. Das was in favor of boycotting of legislative councils. If these kind of statements are made, then that is false. So C.R. Das was in favor of contesting the elections of legislative council. Okay, important point to note. So previously we saw that first non-cooperation movement launched. Next, Congress Working Committee what accepted it. Next, a special session was also called. Now, annual session. Okay, next we shall see that Indian National Congress annual session was held at Nagpur. So officially, they accepted the non-cooperation movement here. So in this context, we need to know that C.R. Das moved the main resolution on non-cooperation. So a very important point to note here is, so in which of the following sessions did the Indian National Congress create the non-cooperation movement? So 1920, Indian National Congress session, which was held at Nagpur. So who moved the main resolution? C.R. Das made the moved the main resolution. Okay, important point. Next, we shall see few of the developments which took place as part of the Nagpur session of 1920. So here the goal of the Congress was changed from the attainment of self-government by constitutional and legal means. So before, this was the goal of Congress. That is, we have to attain self-government or Swaraj by what kind of means? By constitutional and legal means. So constitutional and legal means you will request the government to change the constitution, to bring reform in the constitution. So you'll send a memoranda. So these were constitutional and legal means. But now that goal was changed. We want to attain Swaraj. We want freedom, but not only through constitutional and legal means, but by peaceful and legitimate means. It means it may not involve constitutional means, it may involve other means like boycott and all. Okay, boycott and all. So very important point to note here. So questions may be framed like this: in which among the following sessions was the goal of the Congress was changed from attainment of self-government by constitutional and legal means to the attainment of Swaraj by peaceful and legitimate means? So from PLIM's point of view, we should be able to recall that it is in Nagpur session. Also from mains point of view, we need to indicate the chronology of developments. So in that case also, it would be better if we quote this point, okay, in order to fetch more marks. Next, another very important development regarding the Nagpur session. 15 members working committee was appointed. Okay, 15 members working committee was appointed. So why it is important? Because 4 years back in 1916, Bal Gangadhar Tilak also had made a similar kind of proposal for having a working committee. Because when any decisions or any resolutions are moved in the Indian National Congress annual sessions, that have to be implemented. And for its implementation on day-to-day basis, we require small decision-making powers. Okay, on day-to-day administration for sustaining the movement, we require a small body of people wherein they will be able to take the decisions on day-to-day basis. Okay, so such kind of proposal when Tilak had made in 1916, so that proposal was rejected. But in 1920, in this Nagpur session, when Gandhiji makes a similar kind of proposal, that proposal was accepted, and this indicates the type of influence which Gandhiji had started wielding on Indian National Congress. Okay, so an important point to note. A similar proposal by Tilak in 1916 was shot down. Okay. So here, from PLIM's point of view, they may ask you a question like, in which of the following sessions was Indian Congress Working Committee created? In Nagpur session. Okay, in Nagpur session. Next, provincial Congress committees were now to be organized on linguistic basis. So what are these provincial Congress committees? So at the national level, we will be having working committee. At the regional level, we had provincial Congress committees. For example, provincial Congress committee related to Karnataka, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, in this fashion. So previously, these provincial Congress committees need not necessarily be organized on linguistic lines. But now, a provision was made wherein these committees will be organized on linguistic basis, based on language. It means in Karnataka, only Kannada speaking people will become part of Karnataka's provincial Congress committee. Similarly, in Tamil Nadu, those who can speak Tamil can become part of the Tamil Nadu's provincial Congress committee. So this provision was made in Nagpur session of 1920. Another very important development. Next, formation of village and mohalla or ward committees also took place during 1920 session. Not an important point. Next, membership fee was reduced to 4 annas. So in order to secure the membership of Congress, the fee was reduced to 4 anna. So generally, to help enable the poor to become members. So even poor people also should effort to become members of Indian National Congress. So that's why it is reduced. Okay. So generally UPSC does not focus on these kind of aspects, but out of curiosity, we can mention that in order to enable poor to become members of Congress, fee was reduced. Next, Congress was to use Hindi as far as possible. So this is a very important development, because in the now we witness that the problem of Hindi imposition and all, which is being alleged by the few of the southern states. In that context, we need to understand that in 1920 session, Congress emphasized that wherever possible, it will be using Hindi as far as possible. Okay, as far as possible. Next, features of the non-cooperation movement. So if you look at the Swadeshi movement or non-cooperation movement or upcoming civil disobedience movement, some of the features, they remain common. They remain common. So these features generally, from Klim's point of view, generally they may not ask us about the features, but predominantly these features, they are important from mains point of view. And also for the comprehensive understanding of the topic, it is very much important for us to understand the features of non-cooperation. Features of the movements. So here the first feature is surrender of titles and honors. So today we receive many honors, like what it may be Bharat Ratna, Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan and all. So these kind of honors, they were endowed even by Britishers at that time. So people surrendered these titles as a form of protest, during non-cooperation movement. So this is one. Boycott of government affiliated schools and colleges. So students stopped going to government affiliated schools. It means the schools which were affiliated to British government and the colleges which were affiliated to British government. So students, they stopped going to such kind of school and they took admission in some other schools which are been started by native Indians. So this was another kind of boycott and feature. Boycott of law courts. So few of the lawyers, so they boycotted law courts, even foreign clothes. Okay, foreign clothes also they boycotted. It means whatever the imported clothes were there, so they never used to purchase it. They only used to purchase Indian made cloths. So these are few of the features. Next, it also extended to resignation from government service. So few of the people who are working in government departments, Indians, so they resigned from their job. So this was another kind of protest. Next, mass civil disobedience, including non-payment of taxes. So even withholding the payment of taxes was also one of the feature of non-cooperation movement. Other developments as part of the non-cooperation movement, national schools and colleges were set up. So national schools and colleges were set up by Indians. Okay, so that people can boycott the foreign schools and colleges and take admission in national schools and colleges. Next, panchayats were set up for settling disputes. So whenever there is a dispute, you need not necessarily go to courts, but rather panchayats will be able to resolve the problem. Next, hand spinning and weaving were encouraged as part of the non-cooperation movement. People were asked to maintain Hindu-Muslim unity. Okay, so so this is also again important feature. Okay, Hindu-Muslim unity was promoted. Next, some socially evil practices like untouchability. So those practices you should give up. So this was the call given, and also strict non-violence was observed. Okay, so these are the important features of non-cooperation movement. So with these things in mind, Gandhiji said that if you follow this, Gandhiji promised that if the program was fully implemented, with these points in mind, if we move ahead, then Swaraj would be ushered in within a year. He said that if with these ideas, if we move forward, then definitely within a year we can secure freedom. So these were the words of Mahatma Gandhiji. So he committed Congress to a program of extra constitutional mass action. So Congress all these years it was committed to what constitutional means, but now it was using non-constitutional means as well. So it means he committed the Congress to a program of extra constitutional mass action. In this context, let us look into what various personalities and various developments that have taken place as part of non-cooperation movement. So Khilafat leaders, who are the important Khilafat leaders? Ali brothers were important Khilafat leaders. Next, when it comes to protest or boycott, there are various kinds of boycott: educational boycott, court boycott, etc. So let us look into few of them. So educational boycott, it was successful, especially in Bengal. Okay, was successful in Bengal. It means in Bengal, so more and more number of students, they boycotted foreign schools and foreign colleges. Rather, they took admission in what Indian schools and colleges. So particularly in Bengal, it was successful, and a person who played an important role in this success was C.R. Das. So C.R. Das played a very important role in extending the educational boycott in Bengal. Similarly, Lala Lajpat Rai played a very important role in extending the educational boycott in Punjab as part of the non-cooperation movement. So as part of the non-cooperation movement, thousands of students left schools and colleges and joined more than 800 national schools and colleges that had sprung up all over the country. So close all these figures and all, they are not important from exam point of view, but just we need to know that as part of this movement, many students, they left the foreign schools and colleges and they joined Indian schools and colleges. Okay, foreign in the sense those established by Britishers. So was more successful compared to the boycott of law courts by lawyers. So we know that there are different kinds of boycott: educational boycott and court boycott. So compared to court or lawyers boycott, so educational boycott was more successful. Okay, more successful. So compared to boycott by lawyers, so boycott by students was more successful. Next, in this context, so when it comes to what boycott of courts, so leading lawyers gave up the lucrative practices. So those who are already doing a good work or earnings with the help of the practice of law, so they gave up their practice in favor of non-cooperation movement. So in this context, it is very much important for us to remember the names. It is C.R. Das, Motilal Nehru, M.R. Jaikar, Saifuddin Kichliu, Vallabhbhai Patel, C. Rajagopalachari, T. Prakasham, and Asaf Ali. So it is important for us to memorize these names. Okay, because in examination, in multiple choice questions, they may give you who among the following gave up their lucrative practices as lawyers in order to extend their support to non-cooperation movement. So in order to attempt such kind of questions confidently, so it becomes very much necessary on part of us to memorize these names. In numbers, again, Bengal led, followed by Andhra. A very important point to note here. So Bengal led, so this is important. Even if we ignore these parts, it is okay. So when it came to educational boycott, there also who was leading? Bengal was leading. When it comes to what court boycott, here also Bengal was leading. Okay, Bengal was leading. Next, foreign cloth boycotting. So to what extent it was successful? So in order to propagate the message of boycott of foreign clothes, so Gandhiji toured the country. So along with Gandhiji, Prabhudas Gandhi accompanied him. So through the words of Prabhudas Gandhi, what we'll learn about the beautiful events that they witnessed. But all these events, line by line, they are not important from exam point of view. But here, what we need to understand here is, as part of non-cooperation movement, when Gandhiji was touring the country to boycott the foreign cloth, so Prabhudas Gandhi, he accompanied Gandhiji. So that much information would be sufficient. Next, as part of what boycott foreign cloth movement, so there used to take place picketing of shops selling foreign clothes. So picketing means, so wherever the shop is selling foreign clothes, so people will gather in front of them and they'll request and they'll pursue, so not to sell foreign clothes. So that is called as picketing. Okay, picketing. So as a result of this, imports of foreign clothes fell in 1921-22 compared to 1920-21. So this is one financial year, this is previous financial year. So compared to the previous financial year, so this year the imports fell. So it indicated that the purchases that were happening in India reduced. So this indicates to what extent the boycott of foreign cloth was successful during non-cooperation movement. So these points can be quoted in mains. Okay, to what extent non-cooperation movement was successful with respect to boycott of cloth. So such kind of examples can be quoted in mains. Next, when it comes to picketing of toddy shops, or we can say it as liquor shops. So people used to picket liquor shops. They used to gather in front of the liquor shops and they used to say, don't sell liquor, don't sell liquor. So this kind of picketing used to take place. As a result of this, government revenue came down. So government, it earned its revenue tremendously from what? Selling of liquor, selling of toddy. So because of that picketing, so sales came down and automatically government revenue also came down. So in order to bring back that revenue, or in order to gain that revenue, so what government did, it started advertising. It said it indicated the health benefits of a good drink. So if you what consume toddy in a proportional amount, then it is beneficial to the health. In this form, it started advertising. So this again indicates to the extent to which the non-cooperation movement was successful with respect to picketing of toddy shops. So these are the various examples which we can quote in our mains answers. So when it comes to mains answers, we need to indicate diverse points. So when we are indicating diverse points, we should indicate educational boycott. We have to indicate what courts boycott. Next, we have to indicate foreign cloth boycott. So we can also indicate about the foreign liquor boycott. Next, Congress membership drive. So here target was 1 crore, but only around 50 lakh was possible. So they had made a certain target of having got 1 crore, but only 50 lakh was possible. So this point is not that much important from exam point of view. Next, Tilak Swaraj Fund, yes, important. So question might be framed like this. So Tilak Swaraj Fund was created as part of Swadeshi movement, non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement. So if such a question is posed, then we should be confident. So it was created as part of the non-cooperation movement. So here the target was to collect 1 crore rupees, but the collection was more than 1 crore. So it was oversubscribed. Very important. So Tilak Swaraj Fund, which was constituted as part of the non-cooperation movement. So the target was 1 crore, but it was oversubscribed. So it indicates the enthusiasm which the people had towards securing freedom for India and towards the non-cooperation movement and the amount that they contributed towards this movement. Next, an important development related to Khadi. So a uniform of national movement. Khadi had become a uniform of national movement. So one important incident related to Gandhiji. So we need to quote this. So from Klim's point of view, also it may be beneficial, but definitely it will be beneficial from Main's point of view. So Gandhiji's address at Madurai. So Gandhiji, while touring India, so he had been to Madurai. So while he was addressing the students and he was telling about the Khadi and all. So Khadi has become a uniform of national movement and all. One of the students complained. So his complaint was that Khadi was costly. He complained that Khadi was costly. So to what extent Gandhiji favored Khadi against the foreign clothes was that Gandhi said that the answer lies in wearing less. If Khadi is costly, then rather than wearing full dress, we shall wear less, but we shall not purchase foreign clothes. So this was the stand taken by Gandhiji, and he said that wearing less clothes, and from that day discarded his dhoti and kurta in favor of a langot. So from that day, from that incident onwards, so Gandhiji discarded his dhoti and kurta and he started wearing langot, and for the rest of his life he practiced the same and he remained a half-naked fakir. Important. So from Klim's point of view, they may ask you which incident forced Gandhiji to discard dhoti and kurta. So options may be like address at Madurai and all. Similarly, in mains, while we are writing our answers, we can quote this example in order to enrich our answer. Next, All India Khilafat Conference at Karachi, July 1921. So here, Muhammad Ali declared, so one of the leaders of All India Khilafat Conference, Muhammad Ali declared that it was religiously unlawful for the Muslims to continue in the British army. So he said that it will be against Islam if Muslims start working for the Britishers, because when Britishers army did not have only Britishers, it also had Indians, and Indians included both Muslims as well as Hindus. So here he gave a call that if a Muslim works in a British army, then it will be against Islam or it will be unlawful. Okay, it will be religiously unlawful. So because of this call, Muhammad Ali was arrested by Britishers. Okay, was arrested by Britishers. In protest, the same was repeated all over the country. So in order to protest the arrest of Muhammad Ali, all over the country, the same call was given. Whosoever is working in British army, it is religiously unlawful. And the same stand was accepted by Congress Working Committee as well. Okay, it means Congress Working Committee supported Muhammad Ali. So again, this is one of the development associated with non-cooperation movement. Next, Prince of Wales visit. So here UPSC will never ask when did Prince of Wales visited India, but in order to frame that chronology of events, so this becomes important. So during Prince of Wales, okay, when he visited India, so there was a clash between Gandhiji's supporters and the people who had gone to welcome Prince. Okay, welcome Prince. So there was violence involved, and in order to bring peace, Gandhiji went for 3 days passed. Okay, 3 days passed. Important. So here in the chain of events, we have to remember that whether non-cooperation movement was launched first or Prince of Wales visit was first. So here we understand that first non-cooperation movement was launched, and subsequently in 1921, Prince of Wales visited India. Okay, visited India. Next, Congress Volunteer Corps. So emerged as a parallel police. Again, from exam point of view, during which moment Congress Volunteer Corps was formed as part of non-cooperation movement. But in 1921, it was declared as illegal by the government. This point is also important. Next, in Awadh area, so Kisan movement was going on. So in order to instill the ideas of what non-cooperation, so Jawaharlal Nehru played an important role. So what he did is non-cooperation propaganda carried among others by Jawaharlal Nehru. So to the Kisans, he also conveyed the message of non-cooperation in the area of Awadh. So because of this, Kisan movement and non-cooperation movement, they merged to such an extent that it was difficult to distinguish between the Kisan movement and what non-cooperation movement. So these points indicate that even what peasants were involved in the non-cooperation movement. So this example can be quoted to indicate that even peasants participated as part of the non-cooperation movement. Next, this development related to Malabar is also important. So in Malabar, because of the non-cooperation and the Khilafat calls which were given, so this aroused the Muslims. But rather than arousing the Muslims against the Britishers, they went against the landlords. Okay, they went against their landlords. And in this context, the movement took a communal color. So rather than countering the Malabar Muslims against the Britishers, it became a Malabar tenants. So they became a counter to landlords. So because of this, it took a communal color like Hindu-Muslim. Okay, Hindu-Muslim communal violence. Okay. So again, this development. So the Malabar related violence, it is part of what? Non-cooperation movement. Or this event happened during the non-cooperation movement. So we should be able to connect the things. Next, Ahmedabad session of Congress in 1921. So already we had started non-cooperation movement, but we wanted to give a much more bigger picture to it, and the plan was to start a mass civil disobedience. So during Ahmedabad session of 1921, Gandhiji was appointed as the sole authority to start a phase of mass civil disobedience. And for that, Gandhiji had announced that he would start the mass civil disobedience from Bardoli Taluk in Surat district of Gujarat. Okay. So Gandhiji already had this plan. Okay, So revolutionary, in this context, we shall understand that whether revolutionaries extended support to non-cooperation movement or not. Yes, revolutionaries, they extended support. So in the previous class, we have discussed about the different ideologies: moderates, extremists, and revolutionaries. So from the exam point of view, we need to know that whether all the wings extended support or not. Yes, even revolutionaries also extended support to non-cooperation movement. Next, who played an important role, or who are the personalities who played an important role in taking the non-cooperation to different parts of the country? So even that is very important from exam point of view. So in Swadeshi movement, we have seen who took it to Punjab, who took it to Madras, who took it to Gujarat. So all these things we have seen. Similarly, non-cooperation movement, it was made famous in Punjab with the efforts of Lala Lajpat Rai. Important point to note. So here, the next important thing is, as I have mentioned, so we know that how the movement started. Next, what were the reasons for the decline of the movement, or how did the movement stop? And this is an incident which led to the withdrawal of non-cooperation movement. So Chauri Chaura incident. So a place in Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. So their people, they behaved violently and they burnt a police station. And as Gandhiji was not in favor of violent behavior, so he was frustrated over the behavior of the people, and because of this violent behavior, forced Gandhiji to withdraw the non-cooperation movement. So what was the reason for the decline of non-cooperation movement or withdrawal of non-cooperation movement? It is a Chauri Chaura incident which took place in Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. So Gandhiji immediately gave a call for withdrawal of non-cooperation movement, but officially it has to be accepted by Congress. So that's why Congress Working Committee in 1922, it met at Bardoli, and a resolution was moved there wherein they announced the withdrawal of non-cooperation movement. So what is Bardoli resolution about? Bardoli resolution is about the withdrawal of non-cooperation movement. A very important point to. But at the same time, ask the peasants to pay taxes and tenants to pay rents. So as part of the Bardoli resolution, when they withdrew the non-cooperation movement, they also asked the peasants and tenants to pay the rents and taxes. Okay, to pay the rents and taxes. In this context, zamindar rights. So it's a critical point for Congress. So here Congress never questioned its rights. So zamindars were involved in collecting the taxes from the Indians. So Congress never questioned the zamindars. Is a point that has been made over here. Next, Muslim participation, very important. So in the mains explicitly it has been mentioned. So different sections of the society, okay, so different personalities, what is their contribution? So from that perspective, we need to know whether Muslim participation was there or not, whether tribal population participation was there or not, women's participation was there or not. So in that context, this information becomes important. So Muslim participation, it gave the movements its truly mass color. So because of the Muslim participation in great numbers, so this movement acquired mass color, okay, mass color or mass character. At some places, 2/3 of those arrested were Muslims. So this indicates the importance of this indicates the to what extent Muslims had participated in non-cooperation movement. Also, Hindu-Muslim unity was at its peak during non-cooperation movement. Gandhiji and this we have few examples over here. Gandhiji and other leaders speaking from mosque. So generally from mosque or masjid, the people belonging to other religions are not allowed. But here Gandhiji and other leaders were allowed to make their speeches, indicates the level of Hindu-Muslim unity. And generally when males are or when people are addressing the Muslim women, so they were blindfolded. Okay. But when it comes to Gandhiji, so Gandhiji being allowed to address the meetings of Muslims women, in which he was the only male who was not blindfolded. So this also indicates the type of respect or love they had towards Gandhiji, and also it points towards the Hindu-Muslim unity. Okay, so all these developments they are very much important from mains point of view. Even in prelims point of view also they may pose a question like this. So in which moment Hindu-Muslim unity was at its peak? So it was during non-cooperation movement. Next, leaders who are disappointed by Gandhiji's decision to withdraw. So all the leaders did not support Gandhiji. In fact, they were not in favor of withdrawing the movement. And here, few of these names are important. Motilal Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, and many others. They were unhappy with the Gandhiji's decision to withdraw the non-cooperation movement. So even these things we need to know. Next, defiance of forest laws. So when it comes to forest laws they impose certain restrictions. For example, you cannot cut the trees, you cannot sell the forest products outside. If at all you want to sell, then you need to secure the government's permission. So these are the various provisions of the forest laws. Now, as part of the larger non-cooperation movement, even these forest laws were broken. It means people started cutting trees and they started selling forest products outside in the market and all without seeking the permission of the British government. So these things can be considered in a broader sense as part of the non-cooperation movement. And when it comes to defiance of forest laws, it became particularly popular in Andhra. So this point is worth noting. So we saw that when it comes to educational boycott, Bengal was famous. Court boycott, Bengal was famous. Next, when it comes to defiance of forest laws, Andhra was famous for it. Okay. Andhra was famous. Next, in Punjab, Akhali movement is associated with Punjab. So this movement also, in a broader sense, it can be considered as part of the non-cooperation movement. So Akali movement also became famous during non-cooperation movement. So this Akali movement in in Punjab was for wresting the control of Gurudwaras. So Gurudwaras are the holy places of Sikhs. So it was believed that these holy places were occupied by corrupt priests. So this Akali movement was to take the control from these corrupt priests and create an organization to control the Gurudwaras. So this movement, it started in Punjab. So was a part of the general movement of non-cooperation movement. So this is also important. So Akhali movement was part of non-cooperation movement. So Akalis, they observed strict non-violence in the face of tremendous repressions. So very important. So they did not resort to violent means, but rather they observed strict non-violence. So this is also very important point to note. Next, from this point, we'll understand the strategies used by Britishers in order to divide and rule. So here, Gandhi reading talks. First thing that we need to remember is Gandhi reading talks. They are part of non-cooperation movement. So during their talks in 1921, government tried to persuade Gandhiji. So they tried to force Gandhiji. What is that? So to ask Ali brothers to withdraw from their speeches those passages that contain suggestions of violence. So Ali brothers had made speeches, and in those speeches they had indicated about the violence. So let us use violent methods to overthrow the British rule. So these were the words used by what? Ali brothers. But government, they forced Gandhiji, and so that Gandhiji should ask the Ali brothers to withdraw their statements. Okay, to withdraw their statements. In this fashion, they wanted to create a divide between Khilafat leaders and Gandhi. Okay, Gandhi. But this attempt, Britishers did not succeed. They failed. Okay, Britishers failed in this policy of divide and rule. Failed in this divide and rule. Next, James Sengupta, Bengali nationalist leader, supported the laborers of tea plantations in Assam in their Protestant strike. So here plantation workers, Indians, so they were protesting against the what? Plantation owners, who were Britishers. So they were demanding their rights. So here James Sengupta, he took the lead. Okay, took the lead, and the needs of the tea plantations were aligned with the needs of the non-cooperation. So in that sense, so the needs of the, even this can be considered broadly as part of the non-cooperation movement. So again, it will, with the help of this, we can introduce diversity in our answer. How even tea plantation workers, they contributed to the national or non-cooperation movement. Okay? So important here. A question might be posed like this: who among the following led the what laborers of tea plantations in Assam during non-cooperation movement? It is James Sengupta. Next, Basanti Devi, wife of C.R. Das. Again, very important example. So now in mains, in order to what add a diversity, we need to know about the contributions of women. So here we can quote the example of Basanti Devi, wife of C.R. Das, was one of the first women volunteers to court arrest in 1921. Court arrest in 1921. Next, an important development, Subhash Chandra Bose. He resigned from civil service. So even today, the most coveted examination, so civil service examination, at that time Subhash Chandra Bose had cleared and he could have led a lavish life, but he resigned from the civil services and jumped into the bandwagon of what? Indian freedom movement. So after that, he was appointed as what? Principal of National College, Calcutta. So this development is also important. So questions might be posed like this: during which movement Subhash Chandra Bose resigned from civil services? It was during non-cooperation movement. Next, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, he spread the movement in Gujarat. Okay, we saw that Lala Lajpat Rai spread the movement in Punjab. Similarly, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel took the movement to Gujarat. Next, tribal. There was also contribution of tribal people to non-cooperation movement. So here example is tribals in Andhra Pradesh. They were led by Alluri Sitaram Raju and combined their demands with those of the non-cooperation movement. So the demands of the tribals in Andhra Pradesh were aligned with the demands of the non-cooperation. In this way, tribals also contributed to the non-cooperation movement. Important. Similarly, in Andhra Delta region or in Andhra region, Konda Venkatappa, A. Kaleshwar Rao, T. Prakasham and Pattabi Sitaramaya, they played an important role in taking the non-cooperation movement to this region. So this was about the non-cooperation movement. So this information is more than sufficient from both prelims and mains point of view. But I'll urge you once to read this topic from Bipan Chandra, and if there are any doubts or if you think that there are some points missing, then you can raise your doubts in the upcoming live interactive classes. So we'll be clearing all your doubts. With that, you will get a comprehensive information or knowledge about this topic. So this was about non-cooperation movement. Similarly, in the subsequent classes, we'll be discussing other important topics related to UPSC. For all our further updates, subscribe to our channel and hit on the bell icon. Thank you.